There, this is Two Legs Better, and your most knowledgeable Buckeye fan south of the equator. All right, that's what I call myself. But I have been following the Buckeyes for over 20 years, so I do know a lot about football, and I never stopped following them, including the games and um, behind the things and all the coaches and the recruiting and everything. So I do consider myself pretty knowledgeable on the topic of Buckeyes and NCAA football in general. However, this is an episode is like a spur of the moment because I watched how Beanie Wells. If you know Buckeye football, you know Beanie Wells is, and also Cardell Jones, and they were grading the Buckeyes, and they gave Julian Sain a B plus and B minus, both of them. I think it's way too low. It's kind of a make me laughing because you know I understand why they do that. They are former players. They have a real direct influence on the team's psyche. So what they say matters, it really matters to the team because the players and coaches probably will watch that, and that really carry a lot of water. To me, I don't give a shit. I'm just a normal fan, regular fan. I don't think anybody is watching me at the moment, so it's okay. So I think I want to give a rather objective opinion on that. I try to be. I could be a Buckeye homer, but I try to be objective on that. But I do think the Buckeyes this season has they have gone through the majority of the regular season for now. 12 games, they go through seven already, and the tougher games already passed. And I don't agree to people when they say that the Ohio State Buckeyes schedule is soft. It's too soft. I don't agree with that. Because part of that is because this Buckeye team is so good, they made them look bad. However, that's beyond the point. The point is you have 7 games and you have Texas, you have Washington, you have other teams on there, Illinois. So it's not an easy schedule. It may not be the toughest, but it's not easy. So how do I grade that? I actually want to start with the coaches. You want to grade, you give everybody a grade, right? So for the coaches, I think it's great. I think it's potentially A plus. I'm not saying the team is perfect, but I'm saying the coaches from Ryan Day to the assistant coaches, the way they handle the team, the game planning, not to mention the defense. The defense is historically good, but the offense is great too because offense is more delicate. How you manage a first year quarterback and everything. I think Brian Harline and Ryan Day did a great job, and also other offensive coaches. They did a great job with the offense, how to bring them step by step. As a teacher myself, I'm blown away. I think I always admired Ryan Day for the managing, and also teaching. I think this is great. How you make sure the team moves step inch by inch forward without tripping, because for a young team, especially young quarterback, if you trip, if you throw 3 interceptions in the game, through 4 interceptions in the game, it could be devastating for a young QB. So, but it never happened for Julian Sain. And in fact, Julian Sain now is number 3 in terms of odds to win the Heisman. And there are only two quarterbacks people say that's better than him. I think, in my opinion, Mendoza is clearly at the same level, maybe even higher because of the everything he did. But Ty Simpson, I don't know. I would put him below Julian Sain. The reason I do that is because I don't think what Julian Sain did was a fluke. From the first game on, you can see his ball placement, his processing speed, and all the things we said about him. Now, when I grade, of course, I started with the quarterback to grade. So the QBs, the QB, how you grade a QB. Of course, the first one you want to talk about is the is the is the win-loss record. Okay, just the Julian saying the win-loss record. Of course, 7-0. That's a team thing. You could say it's a defense. It's not him. All right, I give you that. But the other thing you look at that is, for quarterback, in my opinion, the most important thing is third down conversion. So when the team is on the verge of losing that drive, could you convert that? And Will Howard did great last year especially in the playoff run. Like the game against Notre Dame in the championship game. I think he converted the first 13 first downs or something like that. It was great. It was really great by his legs mostly, but it was great because for quarterback that's what you do. You carry the team forward, and Julian did that. Julian's passing on third downs, I paid a lot of attention to that. It was great. It was on point, and it's just great. And he converted a lot of those. So if I have to grade Julian Sain, I gave him an A-. I think it's still a little bit tough on him, considering, out of 100-some quarterbacks in the whole country, he's like the top 3. That's like 2%, top 2%, and you only give him an A-. That is because I think he can still do more. He could still do more, but he didn't have to, and that's the thing. I think he's just great, and I think at least I would give him A-, but only because he will get even better for himself, for what he has. So that's the quarterback. I think he's been great, and I hope he will continue to be, and I have no doubt in my mind he will. And then for the other positions, for the wide receivers and tight ends and running backs, and usually they group them together because they are the kind of creating yards, right? They receive the ball and things like that. The wide receivers are great in terms of receiving, and I think way above average in blocking. But the tight ends were asked to do a lot of things. I think receiving wise they were okay, but the blocking really not really the top notch. Sometimes they were just kind of tripping in the run game. And the running backs, I actually have a different opinion. A lot of people think the running game was subpar because of the numbers. If you see the numbers, I think it's below 5 yards per carry, which seems really low. But the reason for that is because there's no big play. You don't have like a 60-yard run or 80-yard run to boost the number there, and that really hurts the average. But in terms of effectiveness, it's really, really good because you can, when you need only 2 yards to score, 2 yards to get into the end zone, and you get 2 yards, that's a win. If you need 4 yards to get a first down, you get 4 yards. That's a great win. That's what you need. So I think the running game is not great, but it's serviceable. And also the reason the running game kind of struggles a little bit from time to time is mostly because of the blocking, and not all because of blocking, but part of that. So I would give the whole group in terms of the wide receivers, the running backs, and the tight ends. I will give this group a B. A B only because it's inconsistent. From the top to the bottom is kind of inconsistent, and they have a lot to improve. But it's definitely not a failing grade. It's a good grade. Okay, it's a B. It's a good grade. Now, the next one is the offensive line. The offensive line is an interesting one because if you grade on the pass protection, it would be an A, because the pass protection was great. Julian Sain has only been sacked once in 7 games, and that's great. That's really brilliant. But also part of that is because Julian just get rid of the ball real quickly, process information real fast. So he has some credit too. But the offensive line did a great job there as well. But in terms of the run blocking, it's not really consistent. It's subpar if you have a high. Well, it's subpar basically. So I would give this group maybe a B minus, mostly because of the rushing. But if you separate them, you would say that's A or even A plus on pass blocking, but probably a C or C minus on run blocking. So that is O-line in my opinion. For the whole offense, I would give a B plus. I think it's pretty good. It's the whole offense, not just because they won all the games, but because they didn't show any real concern for me. Because even when the offense is stalled, I didn't feel worried. Part of that is because the defense is doing so good, but part of that is because I know how efficient the offense has been. So it doesn't really matter that much. It's say it's a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15. I know the offense can get it done. It doesn't mean they will get it done every time, but they can. So that's a great thing. So this offense is really, really good. I would say B plus at this point. I hope when we get to the postseason, it will get to like A or even A plus. I mean, the defense is A plus, but the offense is not there yet. So, but the good news is this week we are facing Penn State. It could be a perfect storm. What I mean by that, because first of all, the Buckeyes cannot underestimate Penn State. Penn State is a wounded wolf, wounded tiger. Okay, but it's still a tiger. It's wounded. It's still a tiger. They did lose 4 games, but in those 4 games, they only lost by 13 points. So it's really close. Of course, they some of them were not very good teams, but still, if you can. But Iowa has been played good. So anyway, if you lost by just on average 3 points a game, it means it's almost random. It could go either way. It's just luck is not on your side because of something whatever. But now they basically stabilize a little bit, and they always have a thing for the Buckeyes, so they will be really motivated to play well. But this Buckeye team is difficult to play. It's definitely difficult to play. But I think the Penn State, the thing is, I don't think the team from the top to bottom, from the coach, to the players, nobody is underestimating them. Everybody is saying the right things. They don't let the record fool you. It's still a good team. They have lots of great players on their team and great coaches. Talk about coaches. Jim knows first, if you don't know, Jim Knowles was the last year's defensive coordinator, responsible for last year's defense, #1 scoring defense in the country, to win the national championship for Ohio State. So he did a lot of great things at Ohio State. However, the way he broke off wasn't really pretty. What happened was basically he had a contract extension during the season, I believe. I need to check the time, but during the season. But then the team get into the post season run, and they get to the championship game. I think he felt he was undervalued. He felt like, and this is a good time to negotiate. If you think about it, yeah, we have the greatest, game to play within like a week or something, and I think this is the time to negotiate, and because I have all the power, because, I brought the team here and things like that. But it's really a distraction. I don't think it sits well with the Ohio State management. I don't think it fits the culture of Ryan Day, the way he has been preaching. So I think that really rubbed things in the wrong direction, and the university literally just didn't respond. Basically, this is not the time. Let's finish the game first. You finish the game, and then we talk about that, maybe. But basically, that sowed the seed, the bad seed, if you will. So it soured the relationship. And then after the championship won, and he wanted to renegotiate, and he asked for something, and the university came back with something that he wasn't satisfied. So he started looking. He was looking at Oklahoma. He was looking at Notre Dame and Penn State, and he contacted Penn State. So you gotta be aware of that. He contacted Penn State, contacted James Franklin, and then James Franklin thought it was a good opportunity, um, because of his track record, and just give him a. It was fast. It was fast. He clearly didn't know what would happen after that. He didn't do a thorough examination, I believe, and background check, whatever that was. But give him the highest pay. That's 3.1 million per year for 3 years. So hired him on the spot, not on the spot. Hired him as the defensive coordinator, and then he basically left. So it was abrupt. Ryan Day said it himself. It was abrupt. It was just suddenly it happened. So that's how he felt, right? And Ryan Day also said, it's like any relationship broke up. It's you try not to take it personal, but you're human, right? So that means he didn't like it. So I don't think the team is going to underestimate Penn State at all. At the same time, the team just came back from Wisconsin. It was a very good performance there, and then they had a bye week, so there are 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and for the rest of the regular season, for that matter. So it really is a perfect storm, because now the offensive staff, they can put a lot of things together. They can check the whole thing, the offensive line, the running backs, and the quarterbacks. What can we do? What's more effective? A lot of things will change. So this week could be like the audition week. All right, that's Penn State. That's a good defense. That's our old coordinator there. So let's see what could happen. So I can see this game go ugly real quickly. The first half is going to be something. It's going to be something. So we'll see. But of course, there's also the other possibility that Penn State just plays lights out and hold the Buckeyes close. But I just don't see that happening. So overall for the offense, I give it a high grade, and I think it's going to continue to grow, and it's almost perfect. It's really almost perfect in terms of the growth. Okay, I'm not saying the offense is perfect at the moment, but I'm saying the trajectory. If you are the coaches, you want to see how the season progress, how the offense progress along the season. This is there's nothing better than this. And then in the next few games, you can try a lot of things, because the competition, it's interesting in that the next few games, you could say the schedule, these opponents are not daunting. They definitely are not daunting, but they all have good stories. Say UCLA, they lost the first 3 games, and then first 4 games, then they start to win. Of course, they lost last one to Indiana, but that's a different story. And because a lot of wacky things happen. The first play is an INT, return for touchdown, whatever. So I don't think the team is going to underestimate UCLA or any other teams, Rutgers. Just like Caleb Downs keeps saying, just do your job and dominate the dude in front of you. Do your job and dominate. These are the 2 things you just need to do. If everybody does that on the field, you're going to be great. So that's the Buckeyes offense. Now the defense. The defense, I kind of don't want to bore you with this. It's because everybody watch the team play knows that the defense has been playing lights out. I do mean lights out. It's like they are having so much fun. They are flying on the field, and just the offense, the opposing offense doesn't know how to deal with them, and that's a great thing as a Buckeye fan. Okay, I think for the D line, defensive line, that was one of the biggest questions, because so many great players left, the JTs and, Jack Sawyer and what's going to happen. It's been great. And the linebackers, a lot of people say it might be the well, I think unarguably people say that's the most athletic linebacker group the Buckeyes has ever seen. And of course, it's hard to say they were the greatest. You had, AJ Hawk, Bobby Carpenter, and all those people, and also people before that I didn't know much about. But still, this group is great. Sonny Styles has been hailed for several years as the leader of the team, but Arvile Reese is like not out of nowhere to Buckeye fans, but to the whole country, it's like just a rising star, suddenly shooting like a top 10 pick potentially, in the next year's NFL draft. So linebackers are great, and defensive backs is great too. The corners are very solid. The safety is great. You have Caleb Downs there. Last year, a lot of people say, for gymnos, and you need 3 years for the whole team to learn the defense. I keep wondering. My question is, if Caleb Downs didn't come to join the Ohio State defense, was it really still that good last year? That's a real question. I seriously ask that. I don't think it will. It was. Without Caleb Downs, last year will be the same defense as the year before. I don't think Ohio State got the national championship. That's how important Caleb Downs is. However, this year, the defense, with Matt Patricia, I think without Caleb Downs, you think about it now, they gave up 7 games, they gave up 41 points. So that's less than 6 points a game. Without Caleb Downs, you probably, the number would be like 10 points per game. I would go that far. That's a lot. That is a lot. But with Caleb Downs, it's 4 points. So what I mean is, even without Caleb Downs, this year's defense is still better than last year's. Why? Because Jim knows it's not that good. I know it's a little bit unfair to say that, but I think Jim knows is very good, but he's not brilliant. He's not great. He's not Matt Patricia good. Matt Patricia is really, really good. What do I mean by that? I watched the game so many years. I never seen a defense so smooth, a Buckeye defense. I didn't really follow the Georgia's defense in 2020 and 2021, or the Alabama defense in the past years. So I can't really say that for certain. I watch their games from time to time, but I didn't really follow that closely. But for Buckeye defense, you never see a disconnection. I'm not saying it's perfect, but you never see a disconnection. So people seem to know not only their own job, but also how other people are doing things. You think about this. If you are a defensive lineman, your job is to contain, to rush the passer, right? But what about in the game? Things change. What if things change? What do you do? In order to do that, you need to understand what's your linebackers doing, and what about the DBs? What are they doing? Of course, it's less so because it's more like the linebackers and the DBs. The linebackers, they need to do something, but at the same time, they need to understand what other people are doing. It's like Arvell Reese, he was kind of mirroring the quarterback, like in the Washington game. He was mirroring the quarterback, but that's not his only job. He knows at some point he can pass it on to other linebackers, say Sonny Styles, or even DBs or Caleb Downs, and they understand each other. It's almost like they are talking on the field, which is remarkable. If you like me, I'm a geek. I pay attention to these little things. It's a beauty to watch. It's just looking at art. It's just beautiful. So this defense, I definitely give it a grade of A or even A plus. Because of the defensive coaches and the players, of course. But I give it more to the coaches. I think Matt Patricia is just great. It's just brilliant. So now a little bit on the rest of the season. So look forward. Well, when you look forward, the November is going to be fun. November is going to be fun because Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers. So these are all winnable games, but don't take them lightly. I don't think we have to take them. We need to take them lightly, but because the defense is playing so well, so the team should be okay. But they are also good teams, so it's not going to be. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a fight. You can't just take it lightly. However, the team should be able to pass through those, and that brings to the game against the team up north. The team up north, they have been doing actually really, really well. To me, it's a typical college team because you have up and downs and you try to develop, you have talents, but the team is kind of unbalanced and uncertain in many areas. You don't know what is your strength and things like that. But they are trying to figure it out, and I think they kind of did at this point. So they know it's kind of their signature there. They rely on the offensive line, they rely on the running game, and they just put as little as possible on the quarterback. But when they do, they expect the quarterback to deliver. So that's kind of the offensive signature of the team. And defense, they have been playing well as well. So, and they do have 2 losses. So I don't know what's going to happen. Their schedule is not that strong moving forward from now. So it could be they have like only 2 losses with 1 in conference when they face the Buckeyes at home. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a real game in a way that it matters more to them than the Buckeyes. I think the Buckeyes at that point should be locked to go into the postseason. But it still matters because if you win, you go to Indianapolis, most likely. So it's going to be a tough game. We'll see. The weather is going to be cold, and so we'll see. We'll see what really happens and how the California hands, the the Julian Saiyan, the Super Saiyan, can he be a Super Saiyan in November and December? When the weather is cold. Can he still pass with the same efficiency? And that's a great thing to see. So we'll see that. So that's the kind of the season. So that's my take on the team. I think defensively the team is great. And one more thing about the special team. The special team is not doing very well. The special team probably a C plus, or even maybe a C plus. They try to do things. The protection was okay, but the returning wasn't really good, and the kicking was inconsistent. So a lot of people say the special teams may cost the Buckeyes a game this year. I kind of don't see that. It's hard to see that the way the team is playing, but it is a potential concern. So if you go into the postseason, if it's a tight game, it's difficult to see. So so special teams is definitely a concern. Maybe the running game is a little bit, but I'm not as concerned as a lot of people when they just look at the numbers, because I watch the game, I think they are okay. But special team is a real concern. So, but anyway, so overall that's my take on the whole team. So I hope the team does well, and let's go Buckeyes.